Dan say this all the time, is that if you get out of the market, if you missed just the best 10 days over like a decade period, your return is substantially less than if you had just stayed in, because you have to remember that a loss or a gain is not really a loss or a gain until you've done something to make it permanent, like sell your position. Then, if you get out, you got to be right twice. You got to be right about when you got out and right about when you get back in. And statistics tell us that about 30% of the people who got out during the financial crisis never got back in. In my experience, I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and there's been many times when I've talked to people who were nervous about getting in, but, they were coming up in that part of their lives where they were looking at, well, what am I going to do in 10 or 20 years when I retire, if I don't save money now? And so they're looking at the alternatives and they're thinking about getting in the market. But they have these experiences where, they got into something, maybe they lost all their money or lost quite a bit of money and they got out. But in the majority of those circumstances, what I found is, they were convinced to get into something that they never should have gotten in the first place. They were things that were just out there on the fringes. I can tell you that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You have to look at those underlying motives there. So we have oil at 87.89. We've got gold at 17.35. We've got the 10-year Treasury at 3.27. The 2-year is at 3.53. So we still have short-term rates being a little bit higher than long-term rates, which is an inverted yield curve, which they say, is can predict recessions. We don't necessarily, we've seen 2 negative quarters of GDP this year, so technically we're in a recession. But recessions are part of the normal business cycle. You have peaks and you have troughs, and the market is never static. It doesn't move in just one direction. But don't be afraid of that. If you want the antidote to having your emotions moved one way or the other, get into a long-term strategy. When you look at the statistics there, if you get into a good solid portfolio, or even if you're just investing in the market, let's just say that you're not even diversifying or, doing proper asset allocation and you're just going 100% into the market. If you stay in the market over a 3-year period, there's still somewhere around a 20 to 25% chance that you'll experience at least one negative year. If you hold that portfolio for 5 years, the odds go down dramatically that you'll be worse off than where you started. And at 10 years, if you look at all of the 10-year rolling periods, it's rare to find, if you find any 10-year periods where the market was actually negative during that 10-year period. So, like so many things in life, we just have to change our perspective, right? The enemy comes in with fear, and the analogy for fear is false evidence appearing real. So many times we can get ourselves so worked up about the what ifs and the false conclusions that we get from looking at certain data that we just get paralyzed in fear, and that's what the enemy wants.